whether an employee decides to leave a toxic workplace or stay is always upon them. Every person who is working, they are adults, they can decide for themselves whether to stay or to leave a toxic workplace. But if you know what is good for you, if you know what is good for yourself, for your mental health, for your physical health, for your, general welfare, then you should be courageous enough. Hello, welcome back to our channel. This channel is called Reimagining the Workplace. In this channel, we talk about issues that have to do with creating a beautiful and a healthy work culture, work environment for employees. And we call everyone who is interested on board to come along and learn together these things. I am not an expert, but I am in this journey with you to learn these things. And in today's episode, we've been doing a series of toxic workplaces or environments. We've talked about a few things in the previous episodes that have to do with toxic workplaces. And today we are going to see why people stay at toxic workplaces anyway, even when they know this place is toxic as can get, but they still stay. Why do they stay? Everyone can see it. Like most employees know, they know this place is not normal. These things that are happening in this organization are not normal. Maybe some employees do not have a name for it. They do not understand that the actual name for that is toxicity or abuse at the workplace, but they know. Most employees know, because your gut feeling will tell you that this is not normal, this is not right. Yeah, so let's dive right into it. So why do employees still sit around even when they can see this is not normal, this is not right, what is being done to us by this organization or by these employers is not normal? Why do they do that? Number one, it's possible that even when employees can see that something is not normal, they just don't know. They don't know that it is abuse. They do not know that it is toxic. They do not know, like we've said earlier, they cannot put a name to what is going on. So they basically just don't know that this is toxic. They think it's normal. They think that every other place, as long as you're employed, bosses treat you like that. So they just don't know that this is toxic. They just don't know. That's why they end up staying, because they think it's normal. In the same breath, employees will convince themselves that things will get better maybe. With time, everything will change, or in case the company decides to change bosses or supervisors, things will change. They even convince themselves, even if I left and looked for another job, how sure am I that the people or the supervisors or the bosses or the owners of this company will not be like the ones that I'm currently working with, or even worse? You know the way they say, better the devil you know than the angel that you don't. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that an employee will stay at a toxic workplace and continue to work anyway. Yes. Some employees would rather do a job that they know is toxic than lose their source of income, because they have a family to feed, they have bills to pay, they have loans, student loans, and even bank loans. Some people take loans from banks because they have a job, they have a means of income, and they know they can pay. So employees will feel like, if I leave, then what happens to the bills that I need to pay? What happens to my family? What happens to the loans that I'm supposed to pay and that are accruing interest every day as time goes by? So employees will feel kind of stuck. Another reason why people stay at toxic workplaces is because toxic bosses convince employees that they are not better anywhere else. If they leave the organization, no one else is going to employ them. No one else is going to find them valuable. No one else is going to want to work with them. They convince the employees that by you working with us, we are tolerating you, or we are doing you a favor by keeping you here, and lie to the employees that they are valueless, they are not worth being employed at other places. And therefore the employees or these workers convince themselves that I do not know much, no other person can ever employ me, these guys are doing me a favor by keeping me here. Yet you're working for them, you're giving your value, because if you are not giving any value to that employer, they'll just let you go. But they will have you convinced that unless they have you stay with them, you cannot work anywhere else. Yeah, so if employees put these kind of insecurities in your ability or in yourself, then you feel like you cannot survive anywhere outside the organization that you're already working for, and it's toxic. Another reason why an employee will stay at a toxic workplace is if they believe that they hold a position of influence, and therefore they think because they already know that the place is toxic, there's a way they have managed that, or worked around having their subordinate staff cope with that, and they feel like they shield their subordinate staff from feeling this toxicity from maybe a higher management or a higher level boss, and therefore they will feel like they owe these subordinate staff protection, like they owe them loyalty, and they need to stay. They feel like they need to stay because by their staying, then they will continue to protect these subordinate staff. Or a person who thinks that they hold influence, a position of influence in the company, will stay because they have hopes that they will steer, positivity, they'll change things, especially if the organization has signs that it can improve, or that it's open to new ideas of improvement. Another reason why an employee will stay at a toxic place without leaving, it's for the reasons of loyalty. They pleaded loyalty to their employer, or they just believe in loyalty. They believe in being loyal to someone, and that is twisted, because you cannot be loyal to someone who is not loyal to you. Maybe you can as a Christian, but then it doesn't apply everywhere. If someone is not treating you with loyalty, or playing or meeting their end of the bargain to make you happy at the workplace, then you have no duty. No one is going to question you for leaving if you need to leave. Some employees even wonder, if I leave now, who is going to do my job? Shock on you. If you drop dead today, your employer will be looking for someone to replace you even before they bury you. So we should always remember that even though we have to be loyal to our employers, then it does not like apply in every area, and especially if the employer is not meeting their part of the bargain, if they are not being good to you, if they are not being supportive to you, if they are generally an abusive employer, then you have no duty to be loyal to them. Yeah, but that's a reason. That's one of the reasons that people stay in toxic work environments. Another reason why employees will stay at a toxic workplace is they build an attitude of it's none of my business kind of attitude. They build an attitude of like looking away, ignoring what's going on, and concentrating on just doing what they came here to do. They develop an attitude of being in the company but not part of the company, if that makes sense. They just come to work, do what they are supposed to do, and completely differentiate themselves with the culture. Whatever it is that is happening at the workplace that is toxic, they completely disassociate with, they ignore it, they assume it's not happening, as a way of coping, as a way of surviving at that workplace. The other reason why an employee will stay at a toxic workplace is if they're working under a contract. We all know that contracts are binding. If you've signed a contract with your employer and you're supposed to work for, say for a year or 6 months or 2 years, then it becomes very hard for an employee to leave, because the contract is binding. It's an agreement that is on paper that you're supposed to work for me for this amount of time, and that's what the employer is expecting. And if you leave, then it's a breach of contract, and that may even mean legal consequences for you, or the employee will pay the company some amount of money because they are leaving before their contract is over. So that's one of the other reasons why an employee will want to stay at a toxic workplace, even when it's toxic, because leaving then is not just leaving. Leaving means consequences, that you will be legally liable, that you can be sued in court, and that you will lose a lot of money because you have to pay the company for breaching a contract. Another reason why an employee will stay at a toxic workplace, even when they know it's toxic, is for the reasons of their status quo. A status where or a pedestal where a society or a community or something that just humans have created, that comes with someone who has a job, especially an official job, maybe an 8 or 9 to 5 job. There's a status that comes to someone if they are employed, if they are working in a formal job. So employees will stay because they are afraid of leaving and afraid of the consequences. What will people say? What will people, how will people look at me knowing that I do not have a job? They'll think this or the other. Yeah, so some employees will stay because they know having a job puts them at a certain place in the community or in the society that they are living in. Yeah, so whether an employee decides to leave a toxic workplace or stay is always upon them. Every person who is working, they are adults, they can decide for themselves whether to stay or to leave a toxic workplace. But if you know what is good for you, if you know what is good for yourself, for your mental health, for your physical health, for your, general welfare, then you should be courageous enough to disassociate with yourself with any toxic work environment, any toxic work culture. If you cannot change things, you feel powerless and you cannot change the way things are, then you have the liberty to leave, you have the liberty to raise issues, you have the liberty to do something about it. So it's my hope and prayer that even as we learn these things every day, as we grow in our knowledge of how a workplace should look like and how a workplace should not look like, that we shall do things about it. The way the Bible says, let us be not just be hearers of the word, but also doers of what the word says. It's the same thing. If you know the truth, you are different from someone who does not know the truth. And therefore, my hope and my prayer is that we shall create a community of workers who enjoy their work and who know what is expected of them at the workplace and who know and understand how a workplace should look like. So if you like this kind of content, if you are enjoying this kind of content, share with your friends. Let your friends know that there is such a channel called Reimagining the Workplace. Let them come listen to these teachings or these discussions, and let them also benefit from that. So share, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. That way, every time we upload new videos, then you will be notified and you'll be able to watch them. Thank you and bye bye. See you next time.